Good evening, everyone. It's Clarissa here, the creator and founder of SheRocks College, and I'm going live for my 30 Days of Live challenge. And tonight's focus is going to be on the SheRocks College method for planning your months, weeks, and days as a college student. So by far, I say this all the time when I talk about time management. This is like the number one question, the number one thing that everybody wants to focus on when they're trying to start changing their grades and changing their habits while they're in college. How do I plan my days? How do I prioritize? How do I figure out what I need to be working on every single day? I'm going to answer all of those questions today inside of this video. So, my method is really simple. The thing that makes it magical is that I consistently have students referencing back their plan. You're always looking at it. You're always referring to it. You're always kind of checking what's coming up. You're looking at your days. You're looking at your priorities. And so it's always top of mind, which means that you can trust it. The reason why a lot of students find that the planning methods that they have aren't helping them feel less overwhelmed, or it isn't helping them feel like they're in control of their day, is because it hasn't become a habit yet. They can't trust it. They can't trust that if they follow the plan, that if they actually create it, that it will help them to achieve what it is that they want to achieve. And so what I do in the SheRocks College planning method is I kind of build in the habit creation process. It is a system that you can follow time and time again, and it starts with planning your month. So what I'm going to do is just quickly pull up my notes so that I make sure that I don't miss anything in my helping you to plan. Okay, so it's about 9 steps, and they are all crucial steps that you should follow. So when it comes to planning your month, I have all of my students typically start off with reflecting on the month prior. So I have them go through a few reflection questions that help them figure out what worked, what didn't work, help them celebrate a lot of their wins, and we always start off on that note. Once that's done and that's out of the way, the very first step of the planning method is to take out all of your syllabi, to take out all of your rubrics or anything that has all of your assignments that are going to be coming up. You also want to bring in any personal events. So I have the students take out a blank sheet of paper or a note sheet inside of their planner, and they do a monthly brain dump. So at the beginning of the month, they take a look at their syllabus, they take a look at all of the things that are coming up, and they ask themselves the question, what assignments, exams, personal events are coming up in the next 2 to 4 weeks? And I have them create a list of all of those events. If they have not yet put those events into their calendar, I have them do that at that time. So that's step 1. Make a list of all your assignments, exams, personal events that are coming up in the next 2 to 4 weeks. The second step of my planning method is to write down all of the steps that will need to happen in order for those assignments, for the preparation for the exam, things that you need to take care of for your personal events to be considered complete. So you're basically going to create a list of everything that you still need to do in order to finish writing that paper. You need to write down all of the steps that you still need to do in order to prepare for that baby shower that you're going to. You need to make a list of all of the things that you still need to do when it comes to preparing and studying for your exam that's coming up in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So step 1, make a list of all the events, assignments, exams that are coming up in the next 2 to 4 weeks. The next thing is to do a very detailed list of everything that still needs to get done for those papers to be considered complete, everything that still needs to be done when it comes down to preparing and studying for your final exam. So what are some examples of those things? So if you still have to pick out the topic for your exam, if you still have to go to the research librarian to get some research, if you still have to annotate the articles that you printed out, if you still have to write your outline, if you still have to meet up with your group project, with your group to decide on things, it's just everything that has to get done. When it comes to preparing for the exam, that list might look like reading chapter 1 and taking notes from chapter 1, finishing the back of chapter questions, doing the online quiz, answering the discussion questions for whatever it is that you guys have. So it's just everything that still needs to get done in order for you to say, yes, I'm done studying for this exam. Yes, I'm done writing this paper. Yes, I'm done preparing for my wedding shower. The next step, so the third step, is to pencil in tentative due dates to remind you that you should think about getting started on that assignment. So I teach my students a final exam plan, or just an exam plan that they can use. And I tell them, by this date, this many days away from the exam, you should have all of your notes and your reading assignments done. By X number of days before your paper, this is what should be done. By X number of days before your next class period, this is what needs to be done. So I teach them to take a pencil, because it's a tentative date, meaning that it can change. But it's kind of just a warning sign for you, like, oh crap, the paper's only 2 weeks away. Oh crap, the exam is only 2 weeks away, so that you know, and you can say to yourself, oh, by this point, I should have had this completed by. This is my warning, do something about it, or you're going to be at risk of not getting the grade it is that you want, or being put in a situation where you're cramming, or putting yourself in a situation where you're stressed and doing things at the last minute. So the fourth step is I have them open up their planner. And I teach all of my students that the best kind of planners to have are planners that have hour by hour views. Why? Because you want to be able to see your time and your week at a glance. You want to be able to see how much of your time is being used up and how much of your time is white space. White space equals play space. What that means is you can do whatever it is that you want. Whatever you want with that white space. So you can choose to study during that time. You can choose to not study during that time. You can choose to nap during that time or go to the gym. It's just time that you can play with. Okay, so you're going to first take a look at your week. You're going to put everything that is set in stone. Set in stone things are your class schedule, because you don't have a say in when that takes place. It's lab time, it's work time if you're working while you're in college, it's meetings or anything where the time and date is not set by you, or it has to happen on that date and that time. Once all of those things are inside of your schedule, what you're going to see is you're going to see all of your time that is not available, but you're also going to see the time that is available. And the time that is available is the time that you can play with. It's the time that you can do all of those things that I had you make a list of. So the next step is, from the list that I had you create that broke down everything that you needed to do, you're going to take a look at your schedule, and you're going to highlight anything from that list that has to be done this week. And it has to be done this week because if not, you're going to fall extremely behind. If not, you're going to miss a deadline. If not, you're going to fail the exam. That's what I mean by it has to be done this week. So from that bigger list that I had you create, you're going to look at your week and you're going to say, oh, my exam's on Friday. So that means that from this list, this week, I need to work on finishing chapter 5 and studying for it. Oh, my quiz for anthropology is going to be this week. I need to make sure that I do the pre-quiz. So you're going to highlight that on your list. Okay, so that's the next step. Okay, then what you're going to do, I'm going to give you two options. If you're somebody who likes to pre-plan your week, meaning at the beginning of the week, you like to put everything in its place, know exactly what you're going to be working on when. You can go ahead and from that list of things that you highlighted, you can look at your schedule and decide, okay, I have time to do that this week. On this day, I have time to do this here. I have time to do that there. The other option that you have is you can just do this at the beginning of the day. So you have your highlighted list, and on Monday morning while you're drinking your coffee, you can look at that list. You can look at your Monday schedule and you can say, oh, I have some white space here and I'm going to do this on this day. So you can either pre-plan it for the entire week or you can do it by day and by feel. The last thing that I want to talk about is how to prioritize all of the things that you have written down on your list. And the question that you're going to ask yourself is, if I could only complete one thing today, just one, which one of these things would bring me the most amount of relief? So out of all of the things that you highlighted that you said it has to be done this week or there are going to be some seriously bad consequences, out of those things, if you were to only get one done today, what is the one thing that if you got it done, you would be like, oh, thank God I finished that. Like I feel so much better now that I got that done. That is the thing that you're going to schedule in first into your schedule. That is the thing that you're going to dedicate and carve out time for first. Anything else that you accomplish throughout the day or throughout the week is icing on the cake. It doesn't mean that that's the only thing you work on this week. It's the one thing that you're going to really focus your energy, time, and attention to completing. And then anything else is icing on the cake. The reason why this question is so incredible and it's so powerful is because what I often see happen is that students will create these like monster lists of things that they want to accomplish in one day. And they might, out of 10 things, have gotten 5 done. And all of a sudden, they're losers. All of a sudden, they're people who can't get anything done. All of a sudden, they're useless. Why? They set the bar too damn high. Who's going to get 10 things done in a day? Nobody. So why don't you set yourself up with a schedule, with a plan where you will actually win? And anything else that gets done on top of that, it's like, damn, I'm good. Like, I got this. Look at this. I had one thing that I wanted to get done today and I got 5 done. See the difference in that? Okay. The last thing that I want to touch upon is how to make sure that everything that is a priority that needs to get immediate attention gets it. So when it comes down to figuring out what you should be working on when, here is my rule of thumb. Here are my guidelines that I want you to focus on. So the first thing that you have to do is what is due first gets time first. What is due first gets done first. What is due first gets time first. What does that mean? It means that if you have 3 assignments due in the week and one's due on Monday, one's due on Wednesday, and one's due on Friday, the one that's due on Monday, you will carve out time for that thing first. That's the first thing that you're going to put into your schedule for that day or week. Then it's going to come the thing that's due on Wednesday. Then it's going to come the thing that's due on Friday. Common sense. What happens, though, if you have 2 things that are due on the same day? Well, the way that you handle that is what is worth more or is harder for you to get done. It's something that you have to put a lot of effort into. If it's worth more, then it gets time dedicated first. And if it's harder, it gets more time. So what does this look like? So if you have 2 exams on Friday, one exam is worth 5% of your grade. The other exam is worth 50% of your grade. The one that's worth 50% of your grade should be getting time dedicated on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The one that is worth 5% might only get time on Wednesday and Thursday. That's how you prioritize it. And that's it. That's it. That's how you plan. It starts with the monthly reflection because you want to see what's working and what's not working. But then it's about looking at your calendar and making a list of everything that's coming up over the next 2 to 4 weeks. Write down everything that still needs to happen for all of those things that are going to be due. Pencil in tentative due dates for yourself so that you can kind of create checkpoints for yourself, like by this time I should have this done, by this time I should have this done, by this time I should have this done. Then at the beginning of every week, you're going to look at your week and you're going to put in everything that is set in stone. Anything that's left white is your play space. You get to decide what actually happens in that day. You are in control over it, not anybody else. So if you don't get it done, it's your fault because you have control over your time. You chose not to do what you needed to do during that time. So you're going to look at your list at that point. You're going to highlight anything that has to get done this week because otherwise there will be serious consequences if it doesn't happen this week. You're going to then schedule those things in. You either have the option of pre-scheduling it into the white space, or you can do it in every morning. You can decide what you want to work on every morning. And the question you can ask yourself to help you decide what to pick is, if I only got one thing done today, what one thing would give me the biggest amount of relief? What would make me say, thank God that that's done. I feel so much less stressful. I feel so much stress lifted off of me. And if you run into issues where you don't know what you need to focus on, you can always follow my guidelines. If it's due first, it gets done first, and you dedicate time for it first. If you have multiple things due on the same day, what's worth more gets time for first, and it gets more time. The other thing is, if it's harder for you, meaning you have to work really hard to understand the concept, you need to dedicate time for that class. That class has to be one of the first things that you schedule time for, and you need to make sure it's adequate amount of time every single week. And that's it. Plain and simple. Follow these steps every month, every week, and every day, and you'll know exactly how to plan and prioritize your time. It's that simple. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. If you want one-on-one attention, if you want to go from feeling like you're never caught up, feeling like you're barely passing your classes, like college is super stressful because you're literally on that pass-fail line, not knowing if you're going to pass or not, I invite you to have a conversation with me. I work with students on a 6-week and a semester-long basis. I help them create study plans. I help them get through their reading. I help them plan their time. I help them prioritize. I am there to hold them accountable. I tell them exactly what to do in order to see A's and B's in all of their classes without giving up their social life. And I would love to have a conversation with you about working with me. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can always just shoot me a private message. I hope that you found this video helpful, and I will see you soon. Bye.